the sound of crashing waves, the smell of fresh pina coladas at the bar, and the crunch of sand between your toes. A typical day for a student studying abroad, right? Would be lovely if true. We're living in the 21st century where a lot of things have changed in the last couple of decades. You can now easily have a video call with someone on the opposite side of the globe, you can order products from anywhere, and you can travel huge distances in a short amount of time by literally flying in the air. When it comes to studying, now you can really travel wherever you desire to get the best knowledge possible. So let's have a look at the pros and cons of studying abroad. Salute and welcome to the channel Romaniac. My name is Forza.
And my name is David. We are currently studying medicine and dentistry in Romania.
So let's dive into the first topic. Leaving friends and family. Finally, freedom. You can decide what you spend your money on and you can finally decide to do whatever you want. Within reason, of course. Yes, it's a huge difference to before where maybe you had to share a room with a sibling or you had a house full with 3 really loud sisters. For the first few weeks, it's definitely awesome to have your own freedom, to have your own space, but that is until you start getting homesick. Not having your close friends and your family near you will definitely take some getting used to. And for those people who study really far away, it can sometimes be very costly and take hours to go visit them. That's a problem that people studying in their home country don't have. And for us, it makes it a con.
And next, we want to talk about the language. Most of the times when going abroad, you will be confronted with the fact that you don't speak the local language. And this can become very overwhelming over time. You may have to learn the local language while studying the subjects that you came for. I think everyone would agree that it takes a lot of energy to speak another language on a daily basis. So what is it about studying abroad and learning that new language that makes many students jump at the opportunity to do it? People are now realizing how much more important a second language for business can be. There are so many advantages that come with being able to express yourself in different parts of the world, being on holiday or on a work trip. And it's a well-known fact that when wanting to learn a language, it is oftentimes better to visit and stay in that country where that language is spoken. As you are immersed daily in that language, it becomes much easier to pick up words in everyday life. You will learn it from the natives themselves and not a handheld book or Siri. That makes it for us to a huge pro.
Now let's move on to global connections. Your friendship circle at home rarely has anyone outside your city or your small town. At least that's how it is for most people. But when going abroad, that's the complete opposite. You'll be very surprised to find somebody from your hometown. You'll very quickly find yourself with a group of friends with people from different origins, backgrounds and cultures, which will extend your network further than if you had probably stayed at home. So in the future, if you're looking for an internship, place of work, translator, or even a business partner, these contacts will increase your possibilities by a lot. We also can't forget to mention that a lot of employers favor applicants that have spent some time abroad during their degree, as it shows an increased maturity and a more cultured mindset. So we advise you to take as many opportunities to study abroad as you can. I mean, you don't have to do your whole course abroad, but if it's Erasmus or maybe a few weeks away on an exchange program, we definitely advise you to take it. As for the global connections, it's definitely a pro.
Let's talk about culture. Each country has a unique culture that will either differ slightly or greatly from the one of your own, which can make it kind of an adventure to get to know a new one. Not only will you indulge yourself in a different way of living, but it will also let you see life from a different perspective. Now, that can be a good or a bad thing. But in the end, it's really up to you if you will enjoy learning about a new culture and fully submerging into it. Or if you'd rather just stick to what you always had been used to at home. We feel that cultural exchange is very important. It can make you a better, more well-rounded person as a whole. Not only is traveling fun, but along the way, what we encounter on our travels can really teach us lessons. And when encountering the cultural differences, we should focus on their positive aspects and should try to apply them to our life. The learning of new cultures when studying abroad certainly contributes to your personal growth. And for that reason, it's a huge pro in our books. So we are halfway through this video. Hit that like button if you enjoy watching it so far, and also consider subscribing if you don't want to miss out on our further uploads.
Let's talk finances. The amount of money you have to spend when studying abroad versus at home will certainly be a factor that will either attract or push people from studying away from home. I mean, to be honest, some universities abroad can be very unforgiving on your pocket. But for the most part, when studying away from home, you'll spend a lot less than if you were to study at home. In my case, tuition costs a couple thousand less a year, and when you factor in rent and other monthly expenses, it is much cheaper for me to study abroad than at home. But this may not be the case for everyone. Yes, your tuition and other monthly expenses may be a lot cheaper abroad, but one con that we can give you is that sometimes when studying away from home, you would have to pay all of that out of pocket. For people coming from countries where the governments give them loans to cover their expenses, because they have to pay everything out of pocket abroad, regardless of how expensive it is, it may just be unaffordable. So really the amount of money you'll have to spend abroad can either be a major con or major pro depending on where you're coming from in the world, where you're going to study, how much money you have, and whether you can get a loan or not.
How about finding a job? Another aspect that may determine if you want to study abroad, especially for those with a specific budget, is whether they can find a part-time job or not. As you can imagine, when not speaking the national language, it can get pretty difficult to find a job. Apart from that, depending on where you are from and where you are planning to study, you may be required to get a specific work permit. Some people will not be able to work at all. That is really something a lot of people find challenging, so you should do your own research before going abroad, especially when you need to have a part-time job to afford studying there. And that's why we see it as a con.
And last but not least, independence. Sometimes leaving your comfort zone and living alone can be pretty frustrating and downright lonely. Also in the beginning, when you're doing normal daily activities like using a public transport or doing your groceries, it can get a bit more tricky because you've just never done it in that country before and you have to get used to the new surroundings. We're all used to the same grocery stores that our parents have been using for years and years, and if you were to stay in your home country, that wouldn't really change. But abroad, you yourself would have to find the best grocery store that suits your specific needs and other daily things that you didn't even have to think about when back at home. But though it may take some time to feel more comfortable living independently abroad, once you do, I assure you you'll feel more confident in yourself regardless of wherever you are in the future or whoever you're with. So that's why this last point for us is also a pro.
Studying abroad is definitely something that we enjoy, and we can recommend it to each one of you.
We actually went abroad by chance because we were looking for somewhere to study medicine.
So if you don't know how to get a place at med school, or you maybe want to study something else in Romania, fill out the form on our website or message us on Instagram. La revedere
and ciao!